Now, what are the most important issues to you going into the 2024 election?
Most important issues, let's see. Getting rid of the illegals, getting rid of the illegal politicians.
Illegal politicians, what does that mean?
Schumer, Biden, and company.
How are they illegal?
No one voted for them. They were appointed.
What would you like to see Donald Trump do to all these Democrats who are trying to block some of the things he's doing?
You know, I just want him to be obliterated off the face of the earth. I just want him to be obliterated off the face of the earth.
No disrespect to the hardworking people of Haitian. Listen, it's simple. We love immigration. We just don't want illegal immigration. Now, the Haitian community has immigrated here legally, and we think that should be illegal. Ever since the Haitians have arrived, they've been dressing like prom every day. They're buying groceries from local businesses, and property values have skyrocketed. Oh, wait, they're going up? All right, so property values are going up because the Haitians are paying above market rent on time with money. Money that, they've earned from, taking black jobs, I guess.
Wow, did you see this embarrassing moment for Vice President J.D. Vance, who was just heckled by a crowd while blaming the high cost of housing in this country on, guess what, illegal immigration? You have to see this for yourself. Take a look at this clip right here.
A massive increase in immigration and a massive increase in housing prices. And we have to be honest about that.
You ever notice how whenever rent goes up, someone in a MAGA hat magically finds a way to blame migrants? Like Jose just hopped the border, bought 500 houses in cash, and now he's your landlord. Please. Jose is busy delivering DoorDash to pay for his kids' school shoes. Meanwhile, it's BlackRock, Invitation Homes, and a billionaire president with a spray tan who's treating your neighborhood like a monopoly board. He promised you America first, but what he delivered was billionaires first. This, my friends, is FAFO economics. You vote against your own wallet, then get shocked when your wallet disappears. But don't click away just yet, because I'm not just breaking down why your rent is bleeding you dry. I'm also going to show you how much hate can fuel a person's heart, and just how far MAGA supporters are willing to go, even if it means burning their own wallets, as long as they think immigrants are the ones suffering. So grab your coffee. By the end of this video, you'll see the full scam. Billionaires buying your neighborhood, MAGA voters cheering for it, and immigrants catching the blame while they lose everything. To understand why all of these keeps happening, we've got to start with the psychology. Because none of this is just about money. It's about how hate and projection twist people's brains so badly, they'll ignore the billionaire robbing them if it means they get to point a finger at somebody else.
Do you care more about helping Americans or immigrants in this claim?
Immigrants are Americans. I'm an immigrant and an American.
Well, immigrants are not Americans. Americans are the people that were born
14th
here.
Amendment. Have you read it?
Okay, yes, I have.
Citizenship clause. It says any persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States.
I'm aware of that.
There's about 40 to 50 million naturalized Americans in this country.
Yes, but
you didn't seem aware of it because you said Americans versus immigrants.
So, but are you understanding that the process of getting all these immigrants that come in here we've been also, the millions of immigrants, it's up to the millions, it's the last 20 years now, and it has dramatically affected Americans here in the country, which
positively, I would argue.
People like me and everyone around here, we cannot find homes or even get jobs within our own fields.
Are you looking for a job in construction or agriculture?
I am not, no. I went to college.
Okay. Employment is at a record low right now, even under Donald Trump. And I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but I would say unemployment under both Biden and Trump has been at record low levels.
Okay. Is this in regards for American citizens?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm unaware of that statistic, but from what I see, from what I can
I'm an immigrant and an American, and I employ many American citizens, both naturalized and the ones born here. I employ Americans.
My parents came
Americans as defined by you.
My parents came as immigrants, became naturalized, so I'm not necessarily opposed to immigrants.
So you're the child of immigrants.
Correct. I'm a child of immigrants. I was born
But you don't accept that immigrants are Americans.
Not at this moment.
So your parents are not Americans.
Not at this moment.
So hold on, your parents are not
They're
Americans.
citizens. They became naturalized.
You just said you can't be citizens by being naturalized.
No, I was born here, and I'm not opposed
you're born
to
here,
naturalization.
Right? But
I never said that I'm against naturalization.
Are you against naturalization?
No, I never said I was against naturalization.
You began. Everyone was here. They can play it back on YouTube. You said Americans or immigrants. Are your parents Americans or immigrants?
No, my parents are United States citizens.
But they're immigrants, you said.
No, they came here as immigrants. However, but
So they
I want
are
to make the
immigrants.
claim that we cannot
I came here as an immigrant. I'm an
But
immigrant.
at this point, when they came,
I think
the
that
United
people aren't
States
happy with the way
economy,
this is going for you.
the United States economy was not at
The reason the economy is doing badly now is because Donald Trump's tariff policy, nothing to do with migrants. In fact, the
they
congressional...
can't even start businesses.
I'm an immigrant. I started a business.
No, I understand because the SBA is giving people billions of loans.
I didn't take any loans
They're giving
from
them
SBA.
billions.
I didn't take any loans
I'm not
from
saying
SBA.
you did, but I'm
Okay,
saying
well,
that statistically speaking, they're giving billions of
So
loans
should we do
to these
statistics?
people.
Right?
That.
Immigrants
But
are
we
more
also-
likely to pay in taxes than
Yeah.
take out in benefits.
And
They're more likely to add to innovation and jobs and wages. This is what the statistics show. The Congressional Budget Office... Let me just finish my point and then let you come back in. The Congressional Budget Office, which is bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats both use it, they have said that the immigration surge that you mentioned will lead to an extra $9 trillion of GDP over the next 10 years. That amounts to $65,000 per American household. That's $65,000 for each and every one of you holding up a red flag.
Okay, I understand
All right,
that, but...
pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
African American jobs are at the worst, one of the worst levels. They're all going to migrants. The African American, when you see those numbers, that's the numbers your fake news ought to show you, because they're going to come out with numbers right after the elections. It's going to show that all those people that illegally come across the border with their open border policy are taking the African American jobs away.
Projection, the human brain's favorite coping mechanism. Instead of admitting I messed up, we go, no, you messed up. You fail a test because you didn't study? Must be a bad teacher. You speed 90 miles per hour and get pulled over? Unfair cop. You lose your job because the factory shipped to automation? Damn migrants. That's MAGA logic in a nutshell. Lost your factory job? Must be immigrants. Can't pay rent? Must be welfare queens. Grocery bill looks like a car payment? Clearly it's those illegals again. It's never the billionaire landlord who just bought half your county. And it's definitely not the billionaire president who slashed taxes for his buddies while gutting renter protections. Nope. It's always Jose at the Home Depot parking lot. Why? Because the alternative, admitting you voted for your own eviction notice, is too painful. So your brain says, quick, blame someone powerless. And here's where the hate creeps in. It's easier to despise the family moving in next door than to admit you voted for a billionaire who raised your rent. Hate is cheaper than self-reflection and way more addictive.
Was this chaos around our country before Donald Trump became president? No. He ran saying he wanted to make us more safe, make our communities more peaceful, but he's done the exact opposite and has scapegoated immigrants to tell you that they're the reason why you can't afford your rent. Immigrants have nothing to do with the reason you can't afford your rent or why you need 2 jobs or why you can't afford to send your kids to school.
You see, the kind of projection I am talking about is more obvious in housing. Because while MAGA voters are busy glaring at immigrants, the real heist is happening right under their noses. It's not Jose buying up neighborhoods, it's Wall Street. And that's where the rent nightmare begins.
If you watched last night's debate or caught a glimpse of the media's coverage, you might think immigrants are fueling the housing crisis, but you'd be wrong.
25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country.
But the real reason we are in a housing crisis isn't because of immigration. The real problem is actually a lot simpler: corporate greed. It's because of algorithmic housing cartel companies like RealPage, which dabble in anti-competitive practices and help landlords collude to drive up rents across the country. It's because of corporate landlords like Invitation Homes, which buys up single-family homes and drives up the cost for everyone. These firms, by the way, are predicted to own 40% of all single-family homes by 2030. It's private equity giants targeting mobile home communities and increasing rents by as much as 100% on the last vestiges of affordable housing in America. So when Vance says
25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes.
Understand this, Vance, a former venture capitalist, says this because he's bankrolled by the very executives driving up housing costs. So no, Americans aren't competing with immigrants for homes. They're competing with billionaires like Steve Schwarzman, the CEO of Blackstone, which is the largest private equity firm in the world, who owns a giant portfolio of single-family homes. Schwarzman backs Trump and Vance because he knows they'll keep pointing fingers at immigrants instead of him. While Vance sticks up for his billionaire buddies profiting from your struggles, Biden's Department of Justice is actually taking action. They've launched a lawsuit against RealPage, the company conspiring with landlords to inflate rents. Biden's FTC hit Invitation Homes with a $48 million fine for deceiving renters, charging hidden junk fees, withholding deposits, and unfairly evicting people during the COVID moratorium on evictions. And Harris has proposed building 3 million new homes and providing first-time buyers with $25,000 in assistance. Vance wants you angry at immigrants so you won't look up and see the real culprits, his corporate backers who are literally making billions of dollars off the housing crisis.
Such a great analysis, and he is stating nothing but facts. Wall Street firms like BlackRock and Invitation Homes have been buying up neighborhoods like I Buy Coffee Beans in bulk and without even checking the price. They roll up with cash, snatch entire blocks, and flip them into rentals at insane prices. And the kicker? Jose didn't do that. Maria didn't do that. Your billionaire, man of the people president helped make that possible. Deregulation, tax breaks, and no renter protections. He basically said, Wall Street, mi casa es su casa. So while you're busy screaming at the border about families trying to survive, your actual neighborhood is being auctioned off to billionaires. That's not patriotism. That's projection on a payment plan. And here's where hate adds fuel to the fire. MAGA voters would rather see immigrants take the blame than admit they've been robbed by billionaires. That's how deep the hate runs. They'll ignore the guy in the penthouse stealing from them if it means they can sneer at Jose mowing lawns. It's FAFO, Finance 101. Blame the wrong person and the real thief walks away with your house keys and probably rents it back to you for triple. Now, if you're the kind of person who will fight tooth and nail to defend billionaires, the way the guy in this next clip does, let me hold your hand virtually and break it to you gently, kid. It's time to come back to reality. Because in this game, there are winners and losers. And spoiler alert, you're not the winner. You're not even in the VIP section. You're the one stuck outside paying double rent, while the billionaires you worship pop champagne with your landlord.
America should be always number one.
Okay.
Nothing else.
America over billionaires.
So
should we tax billionaires?
No. You want to ask me a question?
I'm asking you, do you think we should tax billionaires? Give them less taxes?
They're already taxed. Do you understand what would happen if a billionaire turned around and said, I'm not going to buy that $300 million yacht? Do you understand what happened? Everybody on that yacht would not have a job. Do you understand that? Do you understand if a billionaire...
So for America to work, they have to buy a $300 million yacht?
I'm not done with my answer.
So America is a $300 billion yacht?
$300 million. Do you know what would happen to this country if a billionaire stopped donating to the hospitals? Do you know what would happen? This fucker would shut down. Do you understand that it takes a billionaire to incorporate a corporation to give you a job?
The middle class, the working class.
Without a billionaire, there is no middle class. There's nothing. Go back in history and look at the billionaires, and they are what developed this country. If you don't want to live in a developmental country, go south, go east, go west. This is the baddest bitch that works in the world.
Because of billionaires?
Because of capitalism. Without a billionaire, middle class doesn't exist, period.
When Trump's 2017 tax bill passed, billionaires practically did the electric slide. Corporations dumped hundreds of billions into stock buybacks. CEOs got bonuses so big they probably used them as coasters for their champagne. And you? Maybe you saw an extra $40 on your paycheck. Just enough to buy a Keurig machine until your rent went up $200 and ate it alive. Psychologists call this illusory superiority, the belief that if billionaires win, you must be winning too. MAGA voters looked at the stock market like, hey, that's good for me, right? Wrong. Unless you had six figures sitting in Apple stock, that wasn't your party. You were outside in the parking lot while billionaires were inside popping champagne with your landlord. And the hate makes it worse. Because as long as immigrants are painted as the villain, MAGA voters will cheer while billionaires rob them blind. They'd rather burn their own wallets than admit they've been conned.
Finally, I will save America's suburbs by protecting single-family zoning. The radical left wants to abolish the suburbs by forcing apartment complexes and low-income housing into the suburbs right next to your beautiful house. Right next, you have a beautiful house, and they want a nice low-income building to be right next to you.
Trump supporters, if I could ask you for one thing, give me a minute of your time. Me and my wife, we're currently homeless right now, and we need you to watch this 1 minute content. It's helped put us in a hotel room. We was sleeping in a car. So I want you to get in the comments. Tell me about a tough situation you and your families went through. We need all the words of encouragement we can get.
Now let's talk about the suburban fairy tale. Trump promised his base he'd stop quote-unquote low-income housing from invading the suburbs. MAGA voters cheered like it was halftime at a football game. Why? Because in their minds, affordable housing equals crime, equals bad neighbors, equals property values tanking. But here's the twist. Blocking affordable housing made the crisis worse. Less supply equals higher prices. That's not politics, that's economics 101. So the same voters who thought they were protecting their way of life basically built a wall around their suburbs and then accidentally locked themselves out. And here's where hate really fueled the fire. They didn't care if prices went up for everyone. They were fine with that, as long as they thought immigrants and the poor were kept out. That's not economic strategy. That's hate running your wallet into the ground. That's what psychologists call self-defeating behavior. And in plain Glenn language, you thought you were keeping people out, but you ended up keeping yourself out.
Our county, we had a homeless shelter that was being used to house migrants, and we got it shut down.
Good for you.
Thank you, yeah.
Great
we
job.
got them all, we had the building condemned, and then they started, camping out in tents outside, so we had the police evacuate them and push them out of the county completely.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It needs to be done now.
We had a building inspector come and they condemned the building, evacuated
Get rid
everyone.
of the migrants?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
They, my heart goes out to migrants. It really does. I mean, I'm sorry for their situation, but they can't come over here.
I want this poncho we're getting.
Actually, I had it at the fair. Yep, he'll be up there.
The homeless shelter's completely closed down in my county, so it's like a win-win.
Yes, but where are they now?
Well, they were in tents outside. And so we had to get the police to push them into the next county and stuff. And
We push them back over the border.
we got the entire shelter shut down. And they were camping outside in tents because they had nowhere to live.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to get the police to come in and sort of, tear gas them and get them.
There you go. So
Yeah.
They don't have a place to stay, stick them on a boat.
Did you catch that poncho? Yeah. I'm going to stay silent on that one for now, before I say something that gets me in trouble. But look at how they're reacting to this little experiment. The joy, the cheering, it's wild. How do you celebrate cruelty like it's a halftime show? How do you clap when people are being pushed down? When families are facing struggles they didn't deserve? And that right there is the dangerous part. When hate becomes entertainment, it blinds you to the real suffering in your own life. Because while MAGA voters are busy smiling at someone else's pain, guess what's happening in the background? Their rent is climbing, their leases are tightening, and their so-called suburban dream is being sold out from under them. Which brings us to the real punch in the gut. The housing trap.
19,000 homes, not apartments, homes in the metro are owned by 3 companies. That's nearly 1 in every 9 houses up for rent, and some entire suburban neighborhoods where corporations own it all.
The homes that most of these companies are buying are exactly the kind of starter homes that 15, 20, 30 years ago would have been first-time home buyers.
These institutions are literally stealing the American dream right out from underneath the millennials and Gen Zers, and no one seems to be saying anything about it. Owning a house in this country was a staple of the middle class for the past 50 years, and what these institutions are doing is wrong. And if they turn the entire country into a renter's economy and then they control the rent, they're going to keep people spending 30 to 50% of their income on rent, and people are going to be living paycheck to paycheck, and they're going to have all the control. One of the benefits of actually owning a house in this country is that in 15 to 30 years, you have it paid off. There are people who own a $400,000 house today, and their only payment is property taxes and homeowner insurance for $600. It gives you a way to retire in the future with a lower housing burden, and you have some equity in your property that you can pull out and do things with, or just sit on it and be able to will it down to your children. That is the American dream. Why are we letting these companies do this?
Why is your rent so damn high? It's because your home got turned into somebody else's investment. Corporate landlords like BlackRock and Invitation Homes have bought up almost 1/5 of all rentals, pricing normal people out of the market and then hiking up the rent when we have nowhere else to run. Meanwhile, your neighbor's crib, that's not even a home anymore, dog. That's a hotel. Short-term rentals like Airbnb keep kicking families out and renting to tourists for 3 times the price. At the same time, the not in my backyard types keep killing any and all new construction in order to keep their property values high, even if it means killing their communities too. So now rent is $2,500 for a closet, and most of us are never gonna get to own a home. But it's not your fault. You're not even broke. The system's just rigged. If you really want to fix this and take home ownership from dream to reality, then you gotta ban corporate landlords, regulate short-term rentals, and legalize affordable housing. Remember, we gotta build homes for people, not portfolios.
The only reason homelessness exists is because of greed. The only reason rents are so high is because of greed. But mainly a company called BlackRock and their CEO's fucking greed. Why are rents so high? Because properties and property taxes are so high. Why are they so high? Because giant corporations are able to buy up hundreds and thousands of homes, drive up the prices so other people can't afford them, and then rent them out at ridiculously high prices. And if you buy one of those homes and try to rent it out, you have to rent it out at a really high price because the price of the homes is so high and the taxes are so high. So then people foreclose on their homes. People are stuck paying ridiculous amounts of rent so they can never afford a home. And then they buy up more of those homes, and eventually over time, all the homes will become so priced out that no one can afford to live anymore. Creating a system where we're all basically just medieval serfs paying our landlord all the money that we make. That's essentially just slavery with extra steps. On a mass scale.
There was an FBI raid on a corporate landlord based in Atlanta that received little attention. The raid was part of a federal probe of an alleged criminal conspiracy among large landlords to jack up rental prices. The investigation centers around RealPage, advanced property management software used by many corporate landlords. Landlords that are supposed to be in competition with each other outsource daily pricing and ongoing revenue oversight to RealPage. An ebook produced by RealPage says that the company allows corporate landlords who are technically competitors to work together to make us all more successful in our pricing. RealPage bragged that landlords that use its software continually outpace in the market in good times and bad. In other words, RealPage helps landlords charge higher rates than they would in a truly competitive market. Corporate landlords that use RealPage software dominate the rental market in many metropolitan areas. In Phoenix, 70% of multifamily apartment units listed in the Phoenix metropolitan area are owned, operated, or managed by companies that have contracted with RealPage. RealPage's former CEO revealed that participating landlords share occupancy rates, rents charged for each unit, and each floor plan, lease terms, amenities, move-in dates, and move-out dates. After feeding this highly detailed information that would normally be kept proprietary, landlords agree to outsource their pricing authority to RealPage, rather than competing with one another on price. According to a lawsuit in Arizona, RealPage puts significant pressure on participants to ensure that they adopt RealPage's prices. Specifically, RealPage employs pricing advisors who meet with landlords to ensure that properties are implementing RealPage's set rates. This is described by Arizona as policing the conspiracy to make sure no one cheats by lowering prices and trying to gain market share. RealPage advises that its landlords should be compliant with its pricing recommendations. Landlords agree that if they fail to consistently implement RealPage's set rates, their contract will be terminated. The creator of RealPage's algorithm explained, quote, "If you have idiots undervaluing, it costs the whole system." This is popular information. Read the full report on popular.in.
Wall Street didn't just buy houses, they bought futures. Corporate landlords now own hundreds of thousands of homes. They slap junk fees on everything, maintenance fees, processing fees, probably even a breathing while inside the apartment fee. And your billionaire president, he didn't fight it. He handed them the keys. Deregulation, tax loopholes, no renter protections, all while promising we're saving the suburbs. Translation, we're selling the suburbs to my billionaire friends. And MAGA voters still don't get it. Instead of blaming the billionaire who turned their neighborhood into a rental farm, they glare at the immigrant family moving in. Hate blinds them. They'll accept a rent hike that wrecks their bank account just as long as they believe immigrants are suffering more. That's how twisted the psychology gets. That's the trap. That's FAFO economics. You thought you were protecting your house, but really you were just signing the lease for your landlord's third vacation home.
President Trump, if you see this, please save us. This is America. This is our land. Y'all are about to have a panic attack. This is our country. Our country. This is awful. God, please save us, please.
You voted for billionaires to slash the safety net, and now you're upset that billionaires are slashing your safety net. This guy is all excited. January 20th, my president is in. And then 2 months later, he's posting about how scared he is because he was in a program that was getting federal money to house people. I looked this up, the Rapid Rehousing Program in Oakland County, Michigan, and the Trump administration cut almost $400 million of their funding. This is exactly what you voted for, dude. Exactly. You rely on grants from the government to have a roof over your head, and you voted for the people that were foaming at the mouth, waving chainsaws around, talking about how excited they were to cut grants from the government. I struggle to have sympathy for these people. I feel for the people that voted blue, who did not vote against their own interests, who are disabled and need housing assistance and should be able to get it. But because of you Trump supporters who didn't actually look into what was going to happen, who failed this open book test, everyone else has to suffer. We didn't fuck around. You did. Only you should have to find out.
The truth is, if you believe in this, I can't afford rent because of immigrants, remember this. You didn't lose your home because of migrants. You lost it because billionaires turned housing into an ATM. And the president you worshipped handed them your PIN number. Housing isn't just shelter. It's the foundation of American wealth. And when billionaires corner the housing market, they're not just taking homes, they're taking futures. And yet MAGA voters defend the very system that robs them. Why? Because hate blinded them. Hate told them it was better to lose everything as long as immigrants lost more. That's projection, that's FAFO economics. Until people realize Wall Street, not immigrants, stole their neighborhoods, rents will keep climbing, homeownership will keep fading, and billionaires will keep laughing. So yeah, you owned the libs, but in reality, your landlord just owned you. Hate fueled the fire, and billionaires cashed the check. And that's it. FAFO economics in full color. You didn't lose your wallet, your home, or your future because of your neighbor. You lost it because billionaires bought the block and convinced you to cheer while they did it. If this video hit you harder than your rent increase, do me a solid. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your wildest rent or landlord story, and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. We started with coffee and I'm ending with coffee because honestly, it's the only thing cheaper than rent right now. I'll catch you in the next one.